Next, from Peoria, former Congressman Bob Michel, who served in Congress from the Eisenhower administration to the Clinton administration and led the Republicans in the House, is honored on his 90th birthday. Among those gathered are U.S. Transportation Secretary Ray Lahood and Congressman Schock, who now holds the seat once held by Bob Michel.
All right, you ready? Ready. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today and celebrating one of the legendary gentlemen from Central Illinois, Robert H. Michel. Now, Bob is not only celebrating his 90th birthday, but also his devoted friendship, as well as his unique career in public service. I am deeply honored to join you in paying tribute to Bob, to be able to say a few words of praise for someone who is known as a mentor, a teacher, a good neighbor, a loving husband to his beloved Corinne, a great family man, a remarkable legislator, a combat veteran, an amazing singer, and a true patriot. I'm especially pleased to be able to host today's reception here in the federal courthouse, the federal building. This grand old building has long been known as home to the Congressman's office, back when Bob Michel moved his principal district office here in the early 1980s, when the WPA building ceased being Peoria's post office. Secretary Lahood kept his office here as well while he represented the 18th District, and I'm happy to be able to continue that tradition with our main office just around the corner down this hall. I do want to keep this program as brief and meaningful as possible, and to be able to give all of you plenty of time to share your thoughts and well wishes with Bob. With that, I want to introduce my predecessor, who is a man not only well known to Central Illinois, but now to the entire world, 14th in line to the President of the United States. That's a lot of heart attacks. But more importantly, someone who has earned the President's respect, so much so to be chosen for his cabinet, who still remains very popular among his Republican colleagues back in the House and the Senate, and someone who's proven throughout his congressional career that he puts principle above party and that he's about doing the good of the public for which he was elected and now selected to serve. He's someone I'm proud to call my predecessor, a mentor and a friend, who you all elected for 14 years to represent you in the United States Capitol. Please help me welcome home our Secretary, Ray Lahood.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, everybody. It would take a nuclear attack on Washington for me to be president. And I'd have to be in Peoria while everybody else was there. And I know that's why you were all laughing when Aaron said 14th in line, so it means nothing. On the day, the evening that the President gives his State of the Union address, they have a tradition that one cabinet member out of all of the cabinet stays away in the event that something catastrophic would happen. And people have asked me for the last 4.5 years, have they ever asked you to stay away? And I said the last thing they want is a Republican in charge in Washington, D.C. And I'm proud to say I'm still a Republican. So the answer is no. I've been at all these State of the Unions, and everybody's tried to figure out who the person was. Let me just introduce a couple of people. Number one, I want to introduce Doug and Diane Oberhelman. Doug is the CEO of Caterpillar. And you know this community wouldn't be what it is. Central Illinois would not be what it is. And I've told people in politics, you can't get elected to anything, including dog catcher, mayor, city council, Congress, unless you have Caterpillar behind you. And for a long time, we've had an outstanding citizen behind Caterpillar, and that's why he's the CEO. Doug, thank you so much. Doug and Diane, thank you. I also, is Jim Artis still here? he was here, I wanted to introduce the mayor, because I know how proud we all are of the fact that we're Peorians, and I know there are other former mayors and mayors here, but it is a proud moment for our community to honor Bob Michael, and I want to thank Aaron and his staff, really Carol Myrna and Nate Hearn and all of his staff for organizing this. You got invited by them, so to them, thank you very much for organizing this. There was a celebration in Washington where over 300 people came to the Capitol Hill Club to honor Bob on his 90th birthday, and after that event, Aaron called me and said, there are so many people in Peoria and in Central Illinois that want to honor Bob on his 90th birthday. Do you think we could organize something? And so I want to thank Aaron for having the idea, I think spurred on by so many of you who are gathered here, to really honor Bob Michael and honor his service and honor the fact that he's never forgotten about the fact that he was born and raised his family and served the people of Central Illinois, and to be able to come back and see so many friends and neighbors and people that we have worked with over the years. This is just extraordinary, and I know Bob is really touched by all of this and the turnout from so many of you, and particularly some of the young people who are here that maybe don't know Bob as intimately as some of you older folks. And people, some of the people in this crowd actually worked on Bob's first campaigns, actually knew Everett Dirksen, grew up in Peoria with Bob. But for the young people that are here, what this is a show of is what Central Illinois is really about. Honoring somebody who has honored us. Honoring somebody who thought enough of his home community to serve not only in the military, not only in serving his country, but also serving those of us in Central Illinois during his time, 38 years in Congress, the longest serving Republican leader, 14 years. And I've said many, many times, Ronald Reagan gets a lot of credit for doing a lot of things during 8 years. He could have never accomplished what he did without the kind of service that Bob Michael provided as Republican leader, and being able to reach across the aisle. This idea of bipartisanship and this idea of compromise is the reason that President Reagan was successful. And it was led by Bob Michael. Values that he learned here in Central Illinois about how you work with friends and neighbors, about how you solve problems, about how you really make a difference. The only thing that I am envious about Bob Michael is I wish I had his genes. The idea of living to be 90, not many of us are going to reach that ripe old age. And I know there's some physicians gathered here, and I'm not one, but genes mean a lot. And Bob's parents lived to be into their 80s also. And but the idea that he's never forgotten where he came from, the values that he learned, the importance of remembering Central Illinois. And so to all of you, because he remembered you, thank you for remembering him and his service and what he has stood for. And the opportunity for all of you to come here and to say happy birthday and be a part of this. And there's one person I want to single out, because I mentioned that some of you worked on Bob's first campaigns and helped him while he was a congressman and voted for him. But there's one fella here who didn't work on his first campaign. He worked against him. He was Bob's first Democratic opponent. And this speaks so well of our community and Bob Michael. Fred Allen, who was a prominent attorney here in Central Illinois, is here with his wife Tilly. And Fred was Bob's first Democratic opponent. That's what our community is about, honoring somebody. So Fred, thank you. Give them away, Fred. Thank you. Now, I don't know of another community in America where that would happen, but it happens here because of people like you and because of Bob Michel. Thank you all so much for coming, and we're going to do a little singing in a minute or two. We got some people who are actually a little gifted. I know Nate's trying to tell me that I'm getting ahead of the program here. Nate, you used to work for me, right? What? Okay. All right, Aaron, come back up here. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Well, thank you for those kind remarks, Secretary Lahood, and 90 years old is a long time. I would suggest it's not only important to live to 90, but Bob's got his mind and his body, which is something that I think all of us would like as long as we're on this earth. And so that's what's always impressed me about Mr. Michel when I see him out in D.C. driving himself to work every day and being able to stay out late with Ray and I having dinner. And he still knows how to live. Secretary Lahood, during your introduction of Bob Michel exactly 6 years ago today, at a tribute hosted by the Institute for Principled Leadership, you said that Bob was not only your former boss, but your mentor, your guide, and your hero. And I must admit that I envy the time you were able to spend with Bob in the 1980s and 90s, being taught by an example on the House floor, in the committee rooms, and traveling with him in the towns of the 18th District. Bob Michel is an American Republican Party politician who served the U.S. House of Representatives for 38 years, representing Central Illinois' 18th Congressional District. He was the GOP leader in Congress, serving as minority leader for 14 years, from 1981 to 1995, during an era of Democratic Party House domination. He was also minority whip for 6 years, from 1975 to 1981. From President Eisenhower to President Clinton, Bob's service remains a sterling model for all of us who follow him. President John Adams said that the Constitution is the product of good heads prompted by good hearts. Bob Michel taught us that both of these essential qualities, your head and your heart, are necessary in order for American politics to work at its best. His old-fashioned Peoria work ethic was, and still is, put to use every single day. Over time, Bob's public sentiments have proved us with wit and wisdom, a model of plain-spoken, heartland common sense. He made countless speeches, remarks, and interviews over his almost 40 years in the limelight. Bob has always had a remarkable ability to plainly speak from the heart those words that hold true even today. During a debate in 1958, Bob Michel offered this remark, quote, "I didn't go to Congress as the apple polisher for any special interest group. I was quite well aware that I could never please all the people of any one individual piece of legislation. After searching inquiry, I have taken the position which I believe to be right for the country and best for the district, rather than the position which may be more popular at the time or politically expedient." I believe these are words that are just as important today, if not more so, than they were when originally spoken more than 50 years ago. On the House floor during the debate over the Gulf War in January of 1991, while standing in the well, he said, and I quote, "I guess younger members are tired of hearing of World War II types, always using the prelude that war is a model for foreign policy. For so many of you, your war was the Vietnam War. That war shaped your thinking one way or the other. Different war, different lessons," end quote. Bob used the House floor as a place for reasoned debate among colleagues that he believed of equal worth. He never surrendered his own principles, but he always remembered that others have a valid point of view based on their own experiences. Bob, in many you are a great man, You are a congressman whose equal, I believe, has not yet been met. And we in this room, the community of Peoria, the great state of Illinois, and the United States of America are all the better to have had you as our leader. Thank you for being here with us today. We all wish you a happy 90th birthday. Please join your friends.
Well, thank you, Aaron and Ray. The two of you have done so well again tonight, and getting this meeting to come to some kind of conclusion, I guess. I don't know how many of you experienced that as I did over many, many years, coming to this lobby to buy stamps at the windows along here. Never would I have dreamed that all these years later, lo and behold, it was cleared for a reception like this, and then particularly to honor old Bob with his 90th birthday. I tell you, I'm overwhelmed. And folks have come from all over the district, and you've traveled so far just to be here to say hello. Well, it's overcoming. You know, how do you do it, or what's the secret? And it's hard to define, except that I know, going back to my infantry days, that there was a supreme being who we have to turn to every once in a while when we're in deep trouble. And I was so well taken care of and cared for to be able to come back to the United States when I left so many of my buddies, and we'd ask the question, why him and not me, or vice versa? And those, I guess, are the fortunes of life. And then when I came back and went to Bradley, and the nicest thing what I got, a nice education, the best thing for me was meeting Corinne. And she was so responsible over the years, during our 55 years of marriage, to raising our 4 children and having them as successful as they are. I was so busy campaigning and running around doing all the things you got to do in politics. So she deserves so much credit for the way the family grew up and prospered. And then when I got to the Congress, I tell you, it isn't all joy and laughter by any means. There were some times when we were tested and where things weren't going always right, but there always seemed to be a divine providence that took care of me. And so, and then I should not forget that I had the most wonderful people working for me in my office. We still have a breakfast or a luncheon every 2 weeks, or every 2 months or so. And I consider them the extended family. All of them were so good of character and brought credit to the office. Nobody spit a blight on the office. And I would not have gotten that kind of accolades and things, good things happen to me, had it not been those wonderful people who've worked for me over the years. And then I guess I can't forget those of you who from maybe the very first day voted for old Bob against dear Fred. And Fred, it is so nice. I was just floored when they said you might be here, and I said, my gosh, he's got to be as old as I am then. But both Aaron and Ray have said it very well, that we have a particular political base out here of wonderful people, who will do the right thing when they're called upon to do it. And for me, I guess I had the reputation, you know, in the Congress of getting along pretty well with most everybody. And that's such an important part. When new members are elected to Congress, and they'll come by occasionally and want to stop for advice. And I said, I think the best thing you can do is to go out and become friends with your contemporaries. And I might say that a couple times I had to tell Newt, they're not our enemies, they're our political adversaries, and you treat them with respect. And then remind them of the days when Sam Rayburn from Texas, Joe Martin from Massachusetts, they alternated back and forth a few times when the Congress shifted, but they always had the respect for one another and got things done. And I tell you, that's the ultimate, is working together to get things done for the benefit of people. And I wasn't prepared to make any kind of long remarks here other than to simply express my deep emotional, heartfelt feelings for all of you folks for, gosh, turning out on this afternoon of all times and say happy birthday. That won't happen very many places in our country, but I'll tell you, we'll sure make noise about it happening in Peoria. And I thank you all.
Well, knowing how much Bob likes to sing, we brought out his alma mater's choir, Bradley University, and they're going to sing a few selections, and then we have a special number to close out. So go ahead.
On my journey now, on my journey now, bound I know you don't take nothing on the journey now, bound
On the journey now, on the journey now,
on the journey now,
no, you don't take nothing on the journey now,
on the journey now, on the journey now,
when I'm mountain, I'm on a little higher every year, that I'm on some calls down from the mountain, it's not easy over here,
oh, ain't that news,
you on the other side, now ain't that news,
better get off your check, run up the stairs,
keep your arms open wide, on the journey now,
on the journey now,
on the journey now,
on the journey now,
no, you don't take nothing on the journey now,
on the journey now, on the journey now, well, I'm mountain, I'll go take it to the top.
and they are to the top, 'cause time is now,
Cause I never gonna stop, oh, ain't that news,
I'll try no more, now ain't that news,
better get off your chair, run up the stairs,
and open up the door,
on my journey now,
right now, yeah, right now,
don't take nothing.
no, you don't take nothing, no, you don't take nothing on the journey now,
Lift up your hearts and sing, lift up thy might. Let all your voices ring, pale, red and white.
red for courage. courage and truth prevail. To Bradley University. All hail, hail, hail.
Well, many of you know that Bob is not only a Bradley grad, but so is Secretary Lahood and myself. So the university invariably thinks of this as the Bradley seat. But you know, when you begin running for Congress, one of the joys is getting to know the entire part of the district. And for me, at that time, was 20 counties when Secretary Lahood decided to retire from the seat. And when you go to the Lincoln Day dinners, which are the Republican Party events, I had a number of them as a new candidate say to me, well, now, can you sing like Bob Michel? I said, nobody can sing like Bob Michel. So we're going to have Bob close us out tonight with leading us in God Bless America.
Are you folks ready to follow my lead? I should ask all of you to join us, because you know the words. We'll keep them simple, the same old words of God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Good job, good job.
Are you done? Wait, don't leave. Here, you guys. Who's got the pitch pipe? Right here. All right. How about, you all know the words to Happy Birthday? Yeah. All right, crank it up. Let's go. I know you haven't rehearsed this, so.
G is pretty good.
Start us off here.
Can I start from the down?
Happy birthday.